Settle in, everyone, because today's explainer is going to unfold a lot like a classic modern bedtime story. But instead of dragons and knights in shining armor, we're talking about a billionaire and a 12-year-old boy. It all kicks off with this incredibly captivating moment in a totally quiet room. Ethan Carter, a guy with just unimaginable wealth, looks down at this young kid and asks one really simple question. How much do you want? Now, you've got to imagine the whole room expected the exact same answer. They figured he'd ask for cash, a massive house, a fancy car, or maybe, college tuition, literally anything. But instead, this 12-year-old boy looks right back at the billionaire and absolutely stuns everyone.
I don't want your money. Just let those words sink in for a second. Imagine the sheer absolute silence that must have fallen over that room, right? This wasn't some back and forth negotiation. It was a complete, flat-out rejection. And here's the thing, nobody had ever refused Ethan Carter before, like not once in his entire life. So to really wrap our heads around why this kid's quiet refusal was so earth-shattering, we have to look at exactly who Ethan Carter was and this wild double life he was leading. Let's dive into it. So to really get this, we've got to look at the crazy contrast between Ethan's two worlds. On one hand, you have one of the richest men in America. We're talking massive tech empires, global real estate, private jets, the whole shebang. His face was splashed on magazine covers pretty much every single month. People would literally wait years just to shake the guy's hand. But he had a secret. Almost nobody knew that every Saturday morning he volunteered anonymously at a local community soup kitchen. No flashing cameras, no giant security detail, zero publicity. Just an old baseball cap, some faded blue jeans, and an apron. And he did this because, honestly, that soup kitchen was the only place where people actually spoke to him like a normal human being.
And it was in that second world, right there at that soup kitchen, where our story really gets going. Picture this. It's a rainy Saturday morning, and a young boy walks through the doors. He's wearing these worn-out, dirty sneakers and a totally oversized hoodie. But what really catches your eye isn't his clothes. It's that he is so gently holding the hand of his little sister. She couldn't have been older than 6. Now watch how incredibly deliberate this kid's actions were. The volunteers gave him a warm smile, and he just proceeded with this quiet, polite little routine. First, he thanked everyone. Just basic manners, right? Second, he made absolutely sure his little sister ate her meal first. And third, and this is the part that really caught Ethan's eye from across the room, he quietly took half of his own sandwich and wrapped it up in a napkin. When one of the volunteers noticed this and asked, "Hey, aren't you hungry?" the boy just gave a little smile.
He just looked up and replied, "My mom works the night shift. She'll be hungry when she wakes up." Wow. This small but just incredible act of selflessness instantly grabbed Ethan's attention. Ethan realized right then and there that most of the adults he dealt with in his high-powered, cutthroat corporate life weren't even a fraction that considerate. And for the next 4 months, this boy, who Ethan soon learned was named Noah, came in every single Saturday. Always smiling, always helping wipe down tables, always putting others first, and never asking for a single thing.
Well, Ethan eventually got to chatting with Noah about his parents, and Noah explained, still with that same smile, that his dad had actually passed away, and his mom was working 2 jobs just to keep them afloat. He told Ethan he was just pitching in until things got better. And this perfectly captures the kind of kid Noah was. He didn't speak like it was some grand tragedy. To him, it was just life. Ethan was so deeply moved by this that he discreetly had an assistant look into Noah's background. Nothing creepy or invasive, just enough to see if they genuinely needed a hand. And what he found was staggeringly tough. They were living in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. His mom was sleeping barely 3 hours a day. Noah was the one walking his sister to school, cooking dinner, finishing his own homework well past midnight, and get this, he was somehow still earning straight A's.
So here's the turning point. Ethan decides he's going to help. Quietly, completely anonymously, he pays off 6 months of the family's rent. Just a totally amazing gesture, right? But incredibly, Noah's mother returned the money. Yeah, she actually sent it back. And she didn't just return it, she included this breathtakingly beautiful note. It read, "We appreciate your kindness, but please help someone who has nobody. We still have each other." When Ethan read that, he just smiled. Because once again, nobody had ever returned his money before. He realized he was dealing with a family whose wealth was entirely in their hearts. But, as you might guess, billionaires like Ethan Carter aren't exactly used to giving up. So the very next week, he tries again. This time he meets Noah directly, right after the soup kitchen closed, to offer him a complete, totally life-changing package. We're talking a full academic scholarship, private school, comprehensive medical insurance, a brand new, spacious apartment, just everything. He looked right at the 12-year-old and said, "I'd like to help your family." Now Noah listened really carefully to this incredible offer. I mean, this is a golden ticket, right? He took a moment to process the sheer magnitude of what this billionaire was laying out on the table. And then, instead of jumping up and down for joy like most of us would, he responds with a single, incredibly profound question. He just looks at Ethan and asks, "Why me?"
Ethan didn't even hesitate. He looked at this hardworking kid, this boy who cooked, cleaned, studied until his eyes hurt, and saved his own sandwiches for his tired mother, and gave him the simplest, most honest reasoning possible. He said, "Because you deserve it." And Ethan meant it. He fully believed this young man had earned this blessing more than anyone else he'd ever crossed paths with. But Noah just looked down, shook his head, and delivered a refusal that is honestly breathtaking. He said, "There are families here worse than us. They should go first." Ethan just stared at him, absolutely stunned. He asked Noah, "Do you understand that this could change your entire life?" Noah nodded. He knew exactly what he was turning down. But he showed this unwavering, rock-solid commitment to putting others' needs before his own, even when an entirely new, easy life was being handed to him on a silver platter.
And then Noah delivered a line that I just want to let linger for a second. He said, "If I take it, someone else sleeps hungry." Wow. For the first time in maybe years, Ethan Carter had absolutely no words. The richest man in the room, this absolute titan of industry, was left entirely speechless. He was completely, utterly humbled, realizing he had just been taught the true meaning of generosity by a 12-year-old boy in dirty sneakers. So, that night, Ethan Carter goes home to his massive, sprawling estate, but he just can't sleep. He's tossing and turning all night. He was haunted, but at the same time deeply inspired by Noah's profound words. "If I take it, someone else sleeps hungry." The very next morning, Ethan wakes up with a kind of clarity he hadn't felt in decades. He marches in, immediately cancels a massive board meeting, and blows off 2 high-profile media interviews.
And then he announces something nobody saw coming, a donation of $1 billion. Ethan gave a breathtaking $1 billion to create community food centers all across America. And the crazy part? He did it with zero publicity. It wasn't in his name, there were no giant signs or press conferences. He did it simply because one little boy at a soup kitchen reminded him of what true, selfless generosity actually looks like.
Now flash forward a bit. Months later, a reporter finally manages to track down Noah and asks him the question we'd all probably ask. "Hey, do you regret saying no to all that money?" Noah just gave that same smile of his and offered this beautifully poetic response. He said, "I never said no to kindness. I only said yes to someone who needed it more." As the years passed, this incredible story naturally resolved itself in the best way possible. Over time, Noah's family thrived beautifully, and they did it completely organically, without the billionaire's direct intervention. Noah eventually graduated as high school valedictorian. His college paid for itself through academic scholarships that he earned on his own merit. His mother was finally able to quit that exhausting second job, and that little 6-year-old sister he used to walk to the soup kitchen holding hands, she grew up to become a pediatric nurse, dedicating her own life to helping others. It's just amazing. One afternoon, years after the fact, a young journalist caught up with Ethan Carter and asked him a pretty standard question. What was the best investment you ever made? Ethan smiled, obviously thinking back to that rainy Saturday morning, and replied, "I never invested in that boy. He invested in me." Ethan realized that this 12-year-old kid had given him the absolute greatest gift of his entire life, a complete, permanent shift in perspective. In fact, today, if you walk into any of those Carter community centers across the country, you're going to find a small plaque hanging right beside the entrance. Now, it doesn't mention billions of dollars, it doesn't talk about business acumen or corporate success or stock prices. It simply reads, "The world changes the moment you choose someone else's need before your own." It just perfectly captures the timeless moral of this modern bedtime fable we've been exploring. And right beneath that plaque, bringing our entire story completely full circle back to that little boy in the oversized hoodie, are these tiny little letters that read, "Inspired by a 12-year-old boy named Noah." Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. We've seen how one remarkably small act, just saving half a sandwich, rippled out into a $1 billion change for communities all across America. It really is a wonderful bedtime story, but I think it carries a serious challenge for our waking hours. The world changes when you choose someone else's need. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. Who can you put first tomorrow? Think about it.